Welcome to the Braeview Academy National 5P Portfolio Guidance video. So for portfolio question 1, you will be asked to explain the impact of 4 factors: mental, emotional, social and physical on performance in any activity of your choice. If you wish, you can actually use 8 different activities throughout this answer. You do not need to stick to the same activity. For this question, you will use the following structure to answer, and if you do so, you really can pick up 8 marks out of 8 quite easily. The structure is factor, context and impact. I'm about to explain that. So let's go through it. Factor. Basically in this point, and I've put this in bold, identify, so give the name of a subfactor. So from these 4 factors, mental, emotional, social, physical, you will have subfactors beneath that. All you have to do is identify it and then say whether or not it's a strength or a weakness, and that will be underlined. So for example, the first part of your answer would be, in badminton, agility is a strength in my performance. Now, as you'll see there, agility is in bold and strength is underlined, because I identify agility as the sub-factor, and I then say it's a strength in my performance. Another example, CRE affects my performance negatively in swimming. Another 2 examples, just so you can get the hang of it. Alright, so that's the first part of the answer for factor. I'm sure you'll agree it's pretty simple. Next up, context. Context is asking you to be specific about where and when that particular subfactor is used within your activity. For this, I always like to try to give a definition. So as you'll see here as I put this up, we're going to be talking about power in handball. But power is the ability to apply maximum force quickly, which is strength times speed. Now, whilst you don't need to add this into your answer, I think it's useful to actually have it there. If you know these, it will mean that you know what you're talking about and you can use it to your advantage. So to make this easy to understand for you, I've colour coded it. So the first part, which is the factor where we're identifying and then saying whether it's a strength or weakness, will be in green, then the context in yellow. So if we can read through that, in handball, power is a weakness in my performance. You've seen that from the last slide before. So that's me giving the factor and saying whether it's a strength or weakness. Then we move on to the context. So during the game, power is used in shooting, where I have to apply maximum force quickly to throw the ball fast at target. I need to perform this skill, shouldn't say skills, numerous times in any one game. Next up, to make sure that you're going to get the mark for that part, so you've given the factor, context, and now the impact. So the impact is saying how that subfactor actually affects your game. And the end result, if you can say how it affects the end result, you're on to a winner. Again, I'll just put the definition up in the colour coding. So you've read the green and yellow parts. To make sure that you're going to get that mark, as a result of my low levels of power, I often find myself in front of goal, but still fail to beat the goalkeeper as he is able to react to my weak shots unless I have pinpoint accuracy. The last part there, this leads to my team scoring less and having less chance of winning games. So I always like to put that in at the end. What will the end impact be on the result of the activity that you're participating in? So I now have another example to give you. I won't go through it just like I have before, but you can go through at your own speed. So this time we're looking at agility in badminton. So you can go through this at whatever speed you like. Next up, we'll be looking at the impact, so I'll add that into it as well. So that full answer would be you looking at 1 mark. And for question 1, you would need to go through this process 8 times. It may seem like a lot of work, but I'm giving you full answers here to make sure that you would get every single mark. And if you go through this process, yes, it may take a little bit of time, but there's no real time constraints. So it's a good opportunity for you to get as many marks as you can. Okay, so now it's your turn. For an activity of your choice, explain how any one of the following sub-factors impacts upon your performance. Now, I'm well aware that you won't have been through many of these, especially if you're new to Nat 5, but I have selected a few that you'll see coming up time and time again. So I want you to choose one of the following. That'll narrow down your options, but I've done that purposefully so that we can make sure we're not making it too hard and too wide for you to answer on. So your options are complex skills, and that's from the physical factor, CRE, again from physical, roles and responsibilities from the social factor, anger from emotional, anxiety and fear from emotional, and decision making from mental. So on the following slide, I will be showing you definitions for these and a couple of brief examples so that you can get an idea of where they may be cropping up in activities that you've participated in. When you answer, you can use any activity you like. It doesn't always have to be one that you've done in school. So firstly, decision making. This is the act of selecting the most appropriate option from a range of options. Now you may automatically think of certain activities where that happens, but anytime you find yourself in a position where you have more than one option, you must select which one you believe to be the most appropriate. Do you do that? Do you not? How does it impact on the end result of your activity? And be sure that you give examples. For example, as a centre midfielder in football, as I move forward the ball, I have three options available to myself. I can dribble forward myself if I feel like there's a bit of space or I have the pace to beat the man that's marking me. Or I can pass out wide to the right hand side to my right winger who is in open space. Or I can decide to slow down the play. Maybe perhaps we've got a 2-goal lead and play it back to the defence. Now, each situation will determine whether or not you have made the correct option, and no doubt you will evaluate that every single time. Your ability to make the correct decision will make you a successful or unsuccessful performer. Anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, and hostility. Now, most people will have experienced anger during activities, and you need to be thinking about examples where this has happened, the effect it has then had on you, and then the impact that that has had on the end result of your activity. Automatically, table tennis for me springs to mind, where you miss a shot you shouldn't have missed. You then start to get angry with yourself, your blood starts to boil, you start to feel that annoyance. You lose concentration, and you end up, when you receive the next serve from your opponent, you try and hit it as hard as you can, losing that point. That then impacts upon your game because you've got less chance of winning it. Anxiety and fear. Anxiety is a feeling of worry or nervousness over something with an uncertain outcome. Now, you may have heard about social anxiety. Again, it's just something where you're unsure of what's going to happen, and that happens many, many times in sport. What will the outcome be? How does that affect you? Does it drag your concentration away from the important things in your performance? And then, as a result of this happening, whether you're able to deal with it or you're not, what impact does that have on the end result of your game? Roles and responsibilities. I like to try and break this one down into the two component words. So the roles are the positions that you hold within a team. It doesn't necessarily need to be a playing position, but you can have manager, you can have right back, captain's another role that you may have. The jobs that are then associated with those positions are known as the responsibilities. Now, for your team to be able to carry out roles and responsibilities effectively, you need to know your own role and responsibility, but also if you know everybody in your team's roles and responsibilities, you will be able to operate as an effective unit. Can you think of any sports where roles and responsibilities, either knowing them or not knowing them, has then impacted upon your performance? Cardiorespiratory endurance is next, shortened to CRE, and that's the ability of the heart and lungs to keep your body active over a long period of time. In some sports, for example, football, where you'll play 90 minutes, or rugby where you play 80 minutes, towards the end of the game, you will start to feel the effects of fatigue or tiredness, and then how that then impacts upon what you're able to do within your game. And because of that, that'll impact upon the result. Complex skills, any skill that have many parts to it, and the performer has to process lots of information and make lots of decisions whilst they're performing it. For me, I tend to think of an overhead kick when I think of a complex or difficult skill, meaning that you've got lots and lots of things to take into account, which may be the ground conditions, where your opponent is in relation to you, where the ball is, the ball flight, where the goalkeeper's positioned, how you're going to get airborne, the movement of your legs, so on and so on. So there's lots and lots of parts to a complex skill, which makes it hard to perform. Are you able to do these well in your activity? And then what impact does that have on your performance? So hopefully giving you a little example of these things will make you think yourself about examples that you've got from your performance, and then you'll be able to expand upon them and put it into that factor, the context, and the impact to make sure that you can get the full mark. Getting back to the question that you were asked, for an activity of your choice, explain how any one of the following sub-factors from the previous slide impacts on your performance. Please remember to use the structure and try to give yourself only 5 minutes to complete this. And once you've finished it, please then send it via email or Microsoft Teams to your teacher.